Happened in the 90s.
Matt was the fat kid, Steve was the black kid. Life wasn't always great, but you know what was? The 90s. Happened in the 90s. Yeah!
Friday. What do you say we invite Paige and her parents over for dinner?
Why would you do that to me?
When your dad embarrasses you
Dad!
in front of your girl, it's enough to make you leave home.
I don't want to run away. She made me.
She made you.
Who are you talking to? My travel agent. How does Vegas sound, baby?
All new Gregory Hines, followed by Step by Step CBS Friday.
Who do you think played the better villain? Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, or Ravishing Rick Rude?
Oh my God, that's a Sophie's choice, Steve. The better villain. You know how much I love Ravishing Rick Rude, Steve. You know that. The Jerry curl. The crazy airbrush pants.
Kurt Hennig had a jerry curl.
Yeah. And he can spit gum out of his mouth and hit it.
And pass himself a touchdown.
Yeah, yeah, he can. You know what, dude? I hate to do this. Rick Rude, I love you, dude. But Mr. Perfect, I mean, he's perfect, Steve. So I don't think you can eclipse that. And I think we're right. And I remember you showed me something recently. Dude had a fucking suit jacket with Mr. Perfect, like rhinestoned on the back. And that's flex. That's cool.
It is a flex. I got to go with Rude, though, man, because he would consistently piss off the crowd, saying the whole, like, all of your women are fat. All the dudes, you're stupid. I'll take your bitch if I feel like it, and I'll beat your ass if you try to do something about it. And I got your wife's face on my ass.
I mean, that's a nice sales pitch, Steve. Also, he was involved in every, like, linchpin moment in wrestling, basically. NWO, DX at one point. Just being himself and with hanging out with Bobby Heenan and shit. So I'm going to stick with Perfect because I said it, and I'm going to stick by my word. And Mr. Perfect, you know, Kurt Hennig, he's a beast. But that's a tough one, dude. That's like a 50-50. Oh, that's a coin flip. Maybe it's just Mr. Perfect's my favorite wrestler, but man, dude, cut the music. And then he just berates the town and its women and just fucking, you know, flexes his hips at everybody, dude. That's pretty baller.
For real. And I mean, you couldn't argue with the fact that, like, yeah, his physique was probably better than anyone sitting in that arena. It's like, now, yeah, damn, I do have a six-pack.
Yeah, hell yeah.
In my stomach.
That's the dream. I mean, yeah. But that is the dream. He lived the dream, Steve. It's like, what are you going to say? I've never been in that. I've been there like that maybe once, and even then, it wasn't that. It wasn't Rick fucking Rude, Steve.
Joked out.
Yeah, and it was just the confidence. It was, you know, that's a great question. I would pose that to any wrestling fan because that's so fucking tough. If you were alive back then, I don't know, Steve. That you might just have figured out the question that it's like a philosophical question. What are those called? The ones that there is no answer.
Like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever that's called, that. Man, that fucking blew my mind. I'm gonna blow your mind, or at least this is a question I'll pose to you because it was disappointing to me. My wife might hear this, but I don't care. We watched Ghostbusters last night, the Orig, you know?
Yeah.
Love it. Still holds up. It's fantastic. And coming out of it, I'm thinking my wife's going to say, love it. You know, ditto basically to what I just said. You know what this lady said, Steve, to this classic movie?
Some bullshit.
She's like, that was her reaction to it. I mean, it's not grounds for divorce, but I just wanted to ask you, like, whenever you pose a movie to somebody and they disappoint you with their reaction to it, how much does that crush you inside? Is it just like, all right, you know, I'm talking about my wife, so I don't know, but I'm curious.
it's heartbreaking. It makes you want to go outside and cry in the rain. But you know, what's good for you isn't good for everybody. I always come to that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. She also doesn't like Boogie Nights.
Yeah,
She
it's
said,
tough,
yeah,
dude. But she did.
yeah,
She thinks Jackie Brown's fantastic. So there's like a glimmer of hope there. And there's a lot of
there's
things
that.
where we like, it's the Venn diagram where there's like overlapping circles and stuff. There's a lot of overlapping circles, but it's curious sometimes. We watch these classic movies like a Boogie Nights or a Ghostbusters, and I'm like, this is a no-brainer. This is a layup. I'm giving this person gold, and sometimes it's just she's just like, nah, and it just hurts me inside, Steve.
Fucking Bill Murray, Ernie Hudson, and
Fucking
Rick
ever,
Moranis,
yeah,
Harold
dude.
Ramis.
Dozer, fucking Zool, yeah. Rick Moranis just being Rick Moranis is super creepy in that. I didn't realize how creepy he was, but it's watching it again, it's shocking. Like there's so much like satanic shit in it and like shit where I was like, man, I don't know why this didn't creep me out. Like all the possession shit where she's like floating and doing all that crazy shit. It didn't freak me out. And I guess it's because Bill Murray's so charming and funny, but it was kind of more crazy than I remembered it. I don't remember all like the not funny possession shit with the Dana character and stuff, and Rick
Ripley.
Moranis's creepy, possibly like date rapey vibe that he has in the movie for most of it.
As I've gotten older, those scenes were pretty hot, honestly.
No, I mean, and also just like the sexuality, it's weird in the situation in the movie, but just being an adult and seeing her act like that and being hot Sigourney Weaver in the way she is, it is pretty fucking hot. But the weird blowjob ghost thing that happens with Dan Aykroyd, strange, strange thing to include in the movie, Steve. And my parents never made any mention of it. I mean, Dan Aykroyd gets a straight up ghost blowjob in the movie, and there's, guess it just glanced over me.
He's Canadian, so he's probably into weird kinky shit.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's gonna get a ghost blowjob, it's Dan Aykroyd, Steve. The guy's into the supernatural, so I'm sure. Maybe this was just something that happened to him. I don't know, but
I wouldn't want to trade places with him to find out.
On The Late Late Show right here, the actress Liv Ullmann and novelist Peter Lefcourt on The Late Late Show, coming up only on CBS.
Well, hey, boys and girls, this is Steve G and Matt G with Happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about what happened in the 90s. So get out your peach snapples and your life is peachy, because I'm the STEVE, and this is the season to let the real motherfucking G's in. You're like a kid who found a pup and now you're dapper, but tell me where the fuck you found an anorexic rapper? Talking about who you gonna spray it with and who you shoot. You're only 60 pounds when you're wet and wearing boots. Damn, Steve, they try to fade you on Dre Day, but Dre Day only makes Stevie payday. All of a sudden, Dr. Dre is a G thing, but on his own album cover, he was a she thing. So ninja, please, don't step to these motherfucking real G's. Yo, Dre, what's up?
you better watch out, Steve. Bringing out bad blood.
Hey, it's an instant banger. Instant banger.
That beat though. Oh, that's the
top 10 hip hop beat of all time.
Who did it? Who was the producer that did that beat, Steve?
Producer of that beat? That I'm not sure. I mean, obviously it wasn't Dre.
No. But goddamn, whoever it was, if that was the only beat they ever made, that was a fucking banger of a fucking beat.
The producer was Dr. Dre. I guess that's what he meant when he said Dre Day only make easy payday. So I guess like this was stuff in the cachet from his NWA days. And NWA was signed to Ruthless Records, which was co-owned by Jerry Heller and Easy. So he probably just digged in the stash because I know. Well, we'll get to that later, man. But yeah, I just learned something new.
That almost makes it cooler too. He's like, man, I'm gonna use that shit. That's cool.
Well played, Eric. Right? Well played. Well, today, my friend, we're talking about all things October 19th in the 90th, cousin. Starting off in 1990, Perfect Strangers is airing A Horse is a Horse, Season 6, Episode 4. Finally. When Larry gets a great deal on a racehorse, he thinks his ship has finally come in. But when the horse doesn't perform as Larry hoped, Balki moves him into the apartment.
And hilarity ensues, Steve. Thank God we get to talk about this show because one of the most greatest theme song ever. We always talk about them. This might be it, Steve. If you want to feel
Yeah.
good about yourself, listen to the theme song about from Perfect Strangers.
Standing tall on the wings of my dreams, goddammit.
Rise and fall on the wings of my dreams.
Pain and thunder,
Wind and rain.
wind and haze. Oh. This is actually the 100th episode of the show, so we did pick a good one.
I mean, this show, I didn't remember too much about it other than the theme song and Balki. Obviously, you know, like Cousin Larry, Balki, these are the hitters. And this is a fun show. It actually isn't just like some cheesy like crap fest with a good theme song. It's actually really fun. And in this one, I think it's like a great, you know, clearly it's the 100th episode. They figured it all out, but it's a great like representation of everything good about the show. You know, they even got some wacky ladies in it too that I didn't remember.
Oh, that's their love interest.
Yeah.
And we start this episode off. We find out quickly that Larry bought a racehorse for only $2,200. Apparently, he knows a guy who is getting divorced, and in the settlement, he wants to liquidate all of his assets. And he's telling that his coworker Sam Gorpley, who I forgot about. I always looked at him as like a Wish.com Lex Luger. And,
He does have that look, Steve. That's good.
That's that face. Yeah, he looks like Lex Luger now, basically. And you know, he tells Larry that guy better kiss his assets goodbye.
I mean, you don't. This is just bad logic on Larry's part. He's clearly a sensible. He's financially good. He's in Chicago. He's successful, Steve. But a racehorse, a budget racehorse, that's just not even. Yeah, that's a flimsy investment. I don't like it. Even a divorce guy, I get the logic, but there's things that you want to, you know, save some money on and be cheap about. But buying a racehorse, that ain't one of them. You know?
Yeah, you don't look a gift horse in the mouth, and you don't buy a horse from a divorcee. And I remember this episode because, you know, when Balki makes his opening introductory scene, he comes down the stairs in some hammer pants, and they do the whole verse together. Larry joins them.
Perfectly choreographed, Steve.
Perfect.
Could you do this? You think you could pull this off? Cousin Larry and Balki, these two fucking schmoes, they're pulling off hammer dances, Steve?
That sounds like a challenge, Matt, and I'm up for it. Let's do it. Matching jammer pants.
Hell yeah, I've been waiting. You know I'm trying to get fucking ill-fitting jackets. You know I'm trying to look like MJ in the 90s. I'll throw an MC Hammer in there too. Fuck it.
Shit. Throw in some color me bad. It's hammer go, hammer MC, hammer home, hammer home. The rest can go and play, can't touch this. And it gets a big pop, as it should. The hammer mania is buck wild at this point. And Balki mania, he's the breakout star. Bronson Pinchot. We love us some Balki. Like that's what I came to the show as a kid to see. What is Balki gonna do? What's he gonna say?
He's so innocent, Steve. He's like he's a child, and he's hilarious. And even in like the intro, he's just like reacting to seeing like the Statue of Liberty and stuff. It's like it's like a little puppy dog.
We love it, man.
Yeah,
Larry, he tries to get Balki to go in on the horse, and Balki thinks it's going to be used as a service horse. Like, yeah, but you buy the land and you get the tools and the shed. It's like, no, dude, this isn't for like cropping and shit. And no, this is for racing. It's like, I don't think we can outrun a horse.
especially with a man on your back. Yeah, and you know, so they have this horse, and now again, I'm just kind of going in on Cousin Larry here, but not only is he invested in this fucking shit ass horse, but now he's trying to get other people to invest in it. He's getting his family in on it. I mean, this guy fucking coming over. I don't like that. But he needs an investor. Balki's in. cut to the racetrack because he buys it immediately. Like I think there's probably like some level of like training that even an owner would need to go through to know how to race a horse and whatnot. But fuck it, they get the horse, throw it on the track, and this is classic a mistake again. Number 3,000 from Larry. He invites like everyone he knows to this racetrack to watch this race, which could potentially be not only financially bad but humiliating. Steve.
Dude had honeymoon plans and everything. Like he's got a lot on this horse.
I forgot about that part of it. Yeah, you want to talk about bad decisions, everyone? Larry buys a horse out of nowhere, not with his money, with the money him and his wife saved for their honeymoon. And she's taking it kind of well, Steve. I mean, she's throwing a couple of like subtle jabs, but I gotta say, I feel like that's grounds for divorce right there. Like, you just bought a racehorse? What kind of gambling problems you got, motherfucker?
Larry's not good at decisions. And I did like the line Balki said. I tried to give him a ponytail, but it seemed redundant.
Dude.
That's
And then someday after this, he's gonna be in fucking True Romance doing yak in a fucking Porsche. With a hooker. But I do, from Larry's standpoint, understand just like the destiny aspect, because we find out that the racehorse he bought was called Larry's Fortune. So I mean, it's like, how can I not do this? So Larry's Fortune runs this race, and they get ready and they get pumped up, and his boss, I think, is who you said the fake ass Lex Luger guy is. And the boss is just really slamming this dude. I'd be like, shut the fuck, like I'd be fired after this. But Larry's Fortune, the gates open, and I think he loses by, what did they say, like 50 links? I mean, he's just walking the fucking track, Steve.
Dead last, and it was so slow that it postponed the match after.
So that sucks. His boss rubs it in his face a bunch. So one of his chicks he works with is gonna go like fuck some old dude that she met at the track. That's crazy. He lost the honeymoon money, and then and this is where it kind of took like a real fucked up turn, in my opinion, Steve. For a while, we find out after this they go kind of cut like to like the stables, what they call it. And the vet takes him aside after some hilarious shit where Balki thinks that the horse is talking because the vet's kind of like hidden.
Yeah.
Which was hilarious. But the vet comes out and is like, look, your horse has something called
Wright syndrome.
Wright syndrome, yeah. And it's a lung disease. It's incurable. I'm going to have to just fucking shoot this thing tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. Like, that's it.
Yeah, this is my only scene. I'm just here to deliver bad news, and I'm off to the set of Roseanne.
I'll see you. Call me tomorrow if you need me. If you want me to just fucking drill this thing in the head real quick, I'll be here. But that's crazy, Steve. What an awful, like, immediate bad return on your investment. The horse sucked at racing. The horse is now going to just get killed. I mean, the guy who sold you the horse, go find him and fucking shoot that. That's the guy who really, we need to figure out who that dude is, Steve.
Yeah, take his life, because he's about to get divorced. It's not like he doesn't hate his life already. And then we cut to the apartment, and Larry goes into the kitchen for a late night quench of the thirst. And he turns on the light, gets a sip from his H2O, and he notices Larry's Fortune just chilling in the living room. Now, the logistics of it all, Matt.
I mean, it's a second-story apartment, Steve.
Yeah, I believe they're in the air. Like, they're not first floor. So, like, I get it. It's a 30-minute sitcom, so we got to leave out all the logistics and shit out. But I'm just saying, you don't hear clopping late night.
I mean, if they do live on the second floor, the neighbors below pissed. And also buy security deposit, because that thing's just blasting like everything over that apartment. They're making it look clean, Steve, but the reality of this is just horrifying.
Oh my God, dude. I hear my neighbors when they fuck hard. Like, so you got to hear a big ass Mr. Ed motherfucker clop,
just blasting farts, and you're like, man, it's And then Balki shows up, I guess, like immediately after that, and he's trying to just like deny that there's a horse there, which is pretty hard to do. I mean, it's right there, dude.
What
Um,
horse?
but Larry's like, dude, what the fuck, dude? We gotta kill this thing. This thing's fucking a dud. Let's go take care. Or he doesn't say that. He's not that heartless. But Balki, the reason he brought him back, Steve, was that he has this old. Where is he from? What's the name of the country?
Mipos.
Mipos. So in Mipos, they have this crazy remedy for sheep that works wonders. So he's like, I'm gonna give this thing that. And there's, they said it's an incurable disease, but they ain't never been to Mipos. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, but Balki is confident in his remedy. If it can work on the lambs, on the sheep, it could definitely work on Larry's fortune. And I don't know what the hell they put in this. I do know parsley was involved. And after some cajoling, Larry finally agrees to let him stay. It's like,
48
yes,
hours.
big ass.
He does put a timeline on it. He's like, I'll give you 2 days. Feed him whatever fucking schmutta water. There's a Mexican drink that's like rice based. It's horchata. Have you ever had horchata?
Horchata?
It looks
I just
like
had some.
horchata with some parsley in it, Steve.
It looks like schmegma.
But now they got a horse in the apartment. Everyone knows, and Balki's now gonna start blowing us out of the water because we cut from that to him sitting on the couch with the horse, Steve. I mean, this horse
Chilling.
was well trained, and it's sitting on the couch, guys. Exactly what you think it would look like. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're feeding them this schmegma out of this Costco sized fucking straw. And like you said, it's well trained. It hasn't bit anyone yet. I haven't heard. Has the horse even neighed throughout this episode?
Quiet as a mouse, sitting on the couch, and in the scene, they're actually like Balki's mad at the horse because it won't eat. Only it's not eating this thing, and he's like, well, I've done all this work, and they're having like a couples argument, but it's a horse and Balki. And the way that they get the horse to actually eat this schmutta is that Larry has to come and act like he wants to eat it. It's very like how you get a baby to eat, but
Basically,
it
yeah.
works. It does work, Steve.
And fast forward even further, like Balki or Larry comes home, he's ready to watch some Mr. Ed with his cousin and his new bro Larry's fortune. And come to find out, Larry's fortune is lying on the living room floor. And Balki's ready to break the bad news to him. It's like, look, man, I gave him some of my Mipos formula, and he's supposed to be up by now. He's been laying on the ground all morning. Something's not right. I think it's that time. There's only so much we can do. They retract their steps, and they realize that parsley was the secret ingredient. So they make a mad dash to the fridge to get some parsley, start just throwing it in his mouth. Just like,
because Larry had been removing it every time. Every time they fed him, he was like, ugh. And he because it was a leafy green. I don't know.
But it's a useless garnish.
He almost killed the horse, kind of, because that was parsley, super ingredient. It's like acai or some shit. It's one of those things where it's how you cure every disease in a horse, Steve. They feed it some parsley, they wait. It doesn't really do anything because even Balki's like tracking it through he says alimentary canal, Steve. Balki clearly is an intelligent man. He knew what to call that. He tracks the parsley through. It should have worked, and it doesn't. So he's like, goes over to the counter and is like, all right, dude, get the gun. But he has a little parsley in his pocket, Steve. And as they're kind of like dealing with it, we see Larry's fortune nibble on it, and they're like, what the? And he's up, Steve. It worked. It's like an Italian. It's like when you go to Olive Garden, they throw a little garnish on it. It's what you need, parsley. So clearly, this is amazing.
And we're back at the track, and Larry's fortune is back in the mix. Yes, we're back in business. And this time around, Larry, he's confident that his horse is going to win. Like, actually, no, he was confident that it was going to lose because he put money against it. He's like, man, this half dead horse doesn't have a shot. So he puts, I don't know how much into it, and but before the race even starts, Balki tells him like, no, man, my formula, it will make lambs frisky and they will run like the wind. They might have hiccups, but they're like Seabiscuit. It's like, wait, what? Whoa, 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 whoa. So before he can reverse his bet, the race already starts. But Balki tells him, cuz I got you, bro. I put something down for you and me.
He's like, yes, okay. And also, just going back a little bit, what happened was he actually sold this fucking horse to somebody else for two. So he sold it for 2,000 to somebody who was willing to buy a horse that they nearly killed. So he took a $200 loss on that, right? He eats that, finds out this horse is going to do this. So now we're to where Steve said. And clearly, whatever, this is like some Roger Clemens, like whatever that shit they were giving all the baseball players back in the day, the clear. That's what he was feeding this horse, Steve, because Larry's Fortune dusts all the horses. He was a 99-1 odds, whatever, to win that race. So Larry's like, as he's seeing the horse win, he's looking at his wife going, baby, we going to fucking Paris. We're going everywhere. This money, we're about to win it all. Horse wins. He's like, Balki, how much did you actually put down? You said you put enough for both of us. And Balki's like, what'd you do? 300, 500, what? And Balki's like, no, not that much. Because he's doing the math of like how much they're going to win. Turns out Balki threw down $2, Steve. $1 for each of them. And that gives them a net win of $200.
200 though. But now at least we can repair the hoofs in the bathtub.
I mean, his wife, who knows? I would love to see with the next episode of this, but Larry's Fortune didn't get shot. This miracle cure, Balki could potentially be like a millionaire with this cure, whatever it is. You know, sell that. But what a great episode. Great show. We need to cover more, but we don't really have. How many more seasons of this was there? Like another 2?
Another 2. I think it ended in 93. Yeah. And we'll definitely have more opportunities, man. I think he sold that horse to Jose Canseco, but I digress.
A Jose Canseco bat? Tell me, you didn't pay money for this.
And also in 1990, The Ambulance premieres in theater. A comic book artist meets a woman on the NYC streets, but after a quick flirtation, she suddenly collapses and is picked up by an old ambulance. He checks all the hospitals in the area, but the woman has disappeared. Directed by Larry Cohn, starring Eric Roberts, James Earl Jones, Red Buttons, Megan Gallagher, Stan Lee. Yeah, that's Stan Lee, and Eric Braeden. But me and the grandmothers in America know Eric Braeden better as Victor from Young and the Restless. That Wish.com Tom Selleck. You know who I'm talking about.
If you showed me a picture of him, yeah. My grandma loved that show too. Man, there's something about the Young and the Restless that it just got all old people, all old ladies. They were just like, no matter who, like what culture, anything. It was just like that. There was something subliminal in that. But this sounds fun, like a terrifying situation, but it sounds kind of like a cool movie. Sounds like a cool idea.
I feel like it was on Up All Night at least once or twice or thrice. But Eric Braeden, he's actually the villain in this, Victor, if you're old and nasty. But he is in this ambulance, and at one point, he is just driving through everything. The cops are trying to stop him, the real cops, because some of the cops are disguised as like cover-ups for his hospital. He's a doctor, and he gets people fucked up. He does some Bill Cosby shit and bitches drinks, and then like once they get into his... Yeah, once he gets into their hospital, once they get into his hospital, like he just does whatever with them. So like he's driving through this scene and the cops are shooting at him. And this thing is taking bullets. It's fucking running through shit, running through brick walls and everything. I don't know what the fuck this ambulance is made out of. But Eric Braeden, he gets his comeuppance in the end because Julia Roberts' brother, he plays like a game of chicken with him. Basically, like he's hanging on this like pillar like by a bridge, and he's like, come over here, you bitch. So Eric Braeden drives away, and then he moves out of the way, and then he just goes down a cliff, and the car busts into flames. Spoiler alert.
Damn, Eric Roberts. So is this like you said it was on Up All Night. So is there like a level of eroticism to this? Is
No
that
level of eroticism. I'm just guesstimating, man. It seems like it'd be that quality of movie to be on there.
I mean, I love me a nice little '90s Eric Roberts joint because that guy, great. I mean, he's still around, but this an idea like a bad hospital, like an evil hospital ambulance situation. What a great idea for a movie, though. I love that.
I didn't like the way they ran over James Earl Jones, though, man. He was an old man at this
That's
point.
fucked up. That's fucked. I
It's
don't
very
like
fucked
that.
up.
But,
Come
you
on,
know,
Victor. But
raise the
also
stakes.
in
You
19,
kill a legend. That's how you make a fucking mark in a movie. You know.
yeah, kill a legend, but keep Eric Roberts alive. 1990 also, Night of the Living Dead premieres. When the unburied dead return to life and seek human victims, 7 refugees shelter in a house in the Pennsylvania countryside. Directed by Tom Savini, starring Tony Todd and Patricia Tallman.
Now this isn't the original. This is a remake, but um Tom Savini did a great job in this. It's not like just like a pass off. Tom Savini's a legend in horror, and I feel like
Yeah.
this is a great like tribute to the original. You know.
A common criticism about this movie, a lot of people were saying that it was like the exact same movie, but done in modern times. Now you're more familiar with the original than I am, but I did watch this version, and it's not bad. I figured if I could live through Troll 2, this ain't gonna be bad.
No. And there was these movies where George Romero made the original and it was groundbreaking. And this it was like it wasn't maybe not shot for shot, but it was basically just the same movie. And I don't know why they made that decision, but I liked it. And I do like Tom, just like I said, Tom Savini's like the special effects in this one are really good. And you know, zombie movies were this like weird niche thing back in the day before like all the the popularity of like the AMC show and it's like The Walking Dead and stuff. So it's tough to like remember a time where zombies weren't like this huge like popular thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, I dig this and shout out to Tom Savini, dude, straight up legend. And
And
dude in Dust Till Dawn, fucking what was his name? Sex Machine. He was the dude with the cock gun in Dust Till Dawn. You don't remember that
I,
guy?
I'm rusty on my Dust Till Dawn, man. I'm sorry.
Oh God. Well, look it up. You'll be appreciative. Sex Machine.
Well, also shout out to Tony Todd. This was actually his first horror film before he would go on to be more popularly known as Candyman. Candyman. Candyman.
Damn, that is crazy. Yeah, he did do this before that. Damn, when did Candyman come out? It had to be like right
93.
after this. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. And also in 1990, Reversal of Fortune premieres. Wealthy Sonny Von Bulow lies brain dead, and husband Klaus guilty of attempted murder, but he says he's innocent and hires Alan Dershowitz for his appeal. Directed by Barbet Schroeder, starring Glenn Close, Jeremy Irons, Ron Silver, and Uta Hagen.
Uda Hagen.
And yeah, and the only reason I'm bringing this up is because Jeremy Irons he won an Oscar for this performance, and it's his only nomination in his whole career. I tried to watch this, man, but my gateway to such movies it just kept muting on me, and I just got frustrated. So one day I'll get back to Reversal of Fortune.
Okay.
Yeah, this is based off of Alan Dershowitz's book, because he actually defended the real Klaus Van Bulow. Bulow?
Yeah, it was like, why'd you mention, or it's like weird a real person's name is in this like movie, but that's cool. That's strange. I'll have to check this out. It's a legal like drama basically.
Yeah, it's based on a real case he did, man. And I didn't realize how long in the game Alan Dershowitz has been, man. Obviously he was involved with the OJ thing. He defended Mike Tyson, Leona Helmsley, to name a few. But
The Wiz.
Also in 90, White Palace premieres. Lust turns to love for a 40-ish working class woman and a 20-ish yuppie ad man. with Little in Common, directed by Luis Mandoki, starring Susan Sarandon, James Spader, Jason Alexander, and Kathy Bates.
Good cast. Good
Not
ass
bad
cast.
cast. And I'm not even gonna hold you, Matt. I only watched this movie to see some Susan Sarandon titties.
Oh,
And
they're in there, huh? Nice.
they're in there, and man, them titty nibbles. Man, she is like a official, unofficial sex icon, I feel at this point.
Was she the chick like the fuck whisperer in that movie, the baseball movie where Tim Robbins was like the pitcher? Remember that movie? Bull Durham. Remember? And it was
Will
like
Durham.
I think she was in that, right? She's always just been like this sextress. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
I dig it though. She is sexy. I'll give it to Susan Sarandon. She's one of those hotter like Hollywood chicks where they keep and she shows up still and she's still like trying to throw it out, and I love that.
I love that. She's not like Pamela Anderson or Jenny McCarthy hot, but she knows like her strong points, and she just but finesses and flexes that to the maximum,
You
man.
said Spader's in this too?
Yeah, she's his love, or yeah, she's his love
Oh,
interest.
so he's getting weird with her. That's cool. That's all. Like that was basically Spader's whole vibe in the '90s, with just being like a weird. I mean, it still is. That's kind of what he did in The Office. He was just like a weird, like sexual, like guru type dude. Just says weird sentences about sex.
And ask any woman in the 90s who they think is hot in Hollywood. His name was never mentioned, but yet he would get roles like this. He's no Brad Pitt, no Tom Cruise, even no George Clooney. But hey, you get to fornicate with some of the hottest women in the showbiz.
And he was in Stargate, and I dug that movie. He was dope in that.
There you go. But in 1991, the World Series between the Minnesota Twins and Atlanta Braves airs on CBS. With 5 of its games decided by a single run, 4 decided in the final at bat, and 3 going into extra innings, this World Series immediately became regarded as one of the greatest postseason series in baseball history. You know, out of all of the World Series, there's been over, I think, 100 at this point, damn near 200. I don't know, but shit, this right here, 91, is considered one of the greatest. You hear that, people? Boys and girls.
Stop talking shit. Damn. Look at that.
Intense.
Damn.
Like
the
the
Twins
90s.
fucking whooping that ass. I like that.
What's so great about the 90s? It's not. Just look at this. They don't do this in World Series. It's just fucking pretty boys hitting home runs.
That guy would get arrested for that now. They'd be like, that's assault, dude. That ain't baseball. You can't play like that. You can't hurt each other. Those dudes both have strong mustaches and don't like look like they have day jobs, Steve. They don't look like athletes. That looks like a substitute teacher hitting a gym teacher.
And probably some felonies too. But in 1993, Eazy-E releases its own Dr. Dre 187 some killer.
Dude, I didn't appreciate Eazy-E till it was way too late, dude. It was just like it passed me by, but now, I mean, we were already talking about that song, like the beat. There's like 5 Eazy-E songs that they'll never go away. So he's in my playlist forever.
Real Motherfucking G's is eternally great. It's never going to stop being great. And this is also the album that has "Give Me That Nut, Give Me That Nut, Give Me That."
What just a weird, like his look was to me. So it was just so it almost
unique.
Yeah, I guess. And looking back on it, but yeah, I like honestly, dude, I didn't know really much about him till he died. You know, like when we were kids and stuff in the '90s, and then like that Bone Thug song, I was like, what are they talking about? And then I dug deeper, especially as an older person. And I don't know how accurate it was, but that movie where they showed like the beginnings of NWA and stuff, if what they showed was accurate about how he sort of got started in hip hop, it's pretty crazy how successful he got off that, you know?
Doughboy, man. And you know, I'm sure you already know this, man. He was responsible for Bone getting put on. They signed the Ruthless, and that journey was crazy. I don't want to get too deep into it, man, but they really took a gamble, like a Greyhound bus to Los Angeles, They all pooled their money and they were playing phone tag. This is before smartphones. So if the person wasn't there in front of the phone to answer it, like, hey, nobody's going to know.
God, dude,
But
that's
yeah.
crazy.
But in 1995, Seinfeld is airing season 7, episode 5, The Hot Tub. This episode deals with runner John Paul and Jerry and Elaine's struggles to ensure he wakes up for the New York City Marathon. Meanwhile, a mishap with Kramer's new hot tub causes him to feel constantly cold.
I could just tell. I mean, I think I remembered Kramer in the hot tub, but when we went over the list, I was like, this has to be like a classic episode, and it is. It's hilarious.
And we start off at the diner per usual, and George has this theory where when he's at work, he tries to look annoyed because it makes you look busy when you look annoyed.
Smart. I love a guy who knows how to look busy, because that is like an office job thing where you're like, I gotta like, yeah, exactly. There's a couple of power poses, like, fake type and all that stuff. So he's doing it, Steven. What I love also is this dude works for the Yankees and has to do it. He's just like, there's no job to like, it's all mundane to these people. It's all fucking a disaster. And Elaine has she has like this job where I guess now she works for the catalog and she has to like write a description for these boots. But she can't. She's like, I got to do that, but I got this guy coming in. This dude's like running a race that I met, John Paul, and Jerry immediately, like, I guess everybody knows what this dude, like, he slept in for the Olympics or something, and everyone knows about it.
He overslept the Olympics, and immediately Jerry has like attention, and he wants to be hands-on. Like we noticed that he is just like head over heels to take control of this situation to prevent John Paul from ever making that mistake again. And meanwhile, like you said, Elaine, she's got this writer's block for the catalog she's working for. And this is going to be John Paul's first race in 3 years. So
Jerry can't even fathom like how he's like, how does he sleep in for the Olympics? He's like, how does it happen? Like, Jerry can't think of anything else now. Fuck life. He's like, just focus solely on this guy, what happened to him, and how to avoid that. That's his whole through line now.
Just super concerned, man. And when we're at George's office now, his boss comes in and talks to him, and he's doing his whole shtick. He's looking annoyed, just like, and while this is happening, a fly comes into the office. So after his boss leaves, he sees George like swatting away. He's like, man, this guy, he's just working till he gets crazy.
Yeah, I gotta help this dude out. He's concerned. He's like actually a good boss. Where he's like, man, this guy's taking it too hard. I gotta help him out. So that's happening. And then we go to Jerry's house, and Elaine brings we do go to Jerry's house, and Jerry's there, and Kramer comes in with like a bucket. He's like, what are you doing with that thing, dude? And Kramer's like, dude, I got this dude, Lomez, fucking hooked me up. I bought this hot tub off this dude. Cheap. Another cheap deal, Steve. It's the through line of this episode. These investments people make with this fucking looking to be thrifty. It doesn't pay off.
It doesn't, man. You get what you pay for. And when he comes in, he also interjects their conversation. He's just like, alarm clocks, never needed them. I have a mental clock. It tells me to wake up at 7 o'clock every morning. It's by 6:50.
And then we cut to the diner. And Elaine brings John Paul to the diner, and he sits down. They say hello. And if Jerry doesn't even waste a second, he's like, sorry about the Olympics, dude. Like, just brings it up, right? It's like, damn, bro.
Because he wants to know. Was it no snooze? Was it the snooze? No snooze. Was AM PM? No, it wasn't that. It was the volume. 2 separate knobs. Why would they have separate knobs?
Separate knobs for the alarm volume. That's crazy, though. Like, to be legitimately just like, if somebody made a product like that, shame on them, because possibly hijack this guy's Olympic hopes. But Jerry basically at this point takes it on himself, and to John Paul, he's like, I'm not gonna let this happen, dude. I'm gonna make sure that you make it to this race. This ain't gonna happen. all this oversleeping. I'm gonna lay it out for you. We're gonna take care of you.
This isn't going to happen on my watch or my clock. And then back at George's office, this motherfucker's doing crosswords. And then he figures out the Captain to Nil crossword, and like it runs out of ink. He's just like batting away. And once again, his boss walks by and sees him through the window, just like, damn, this guy needs a day off.
Oh, and this is where he's like, he comes in because he sees that and he's like, dude, I can't. He comes in and is like, George, you gotta chill out, dude. You know what? I got something for you. We're gonna have some guys from the Astros coming over here to talk shop. So I'm gonna have you handle that. You get to go out, treat these guys, and you just stop worrying about the job, man. You're taking it too hard. So George is like, all right, but he's like, again, this shows you his thought process. This dude's a genius, Steve. He understands human fucking behavior so well because it's paying off. He's doing a crossword. He's getting rewarded with a nice dinner out with the Houston dudes. That's dope.
That's how he got this job with Steinbrenner in the first place, just being George, man. I love it. And like back at Jerry's apartment, Elaine was supposed to be there, but she's late by 40 minutes. And by the time she gets there, Jerry checks her. Jerry is just a disciplinarian throughout this episode. It's like, you're supposed to be here 40 minutes ago. So like, she's like, dude, get off my back. Like, this is too much. I got writer's block for this catalog, trying to write about these Himalayan boots I don't give a fuck about. And then I got to make sure Jean-Paul gets up. I'm about to light some shit up in the microwave. She can't even set the microwave right. It's got her so frazzled.
Yeah. And everything is like time related. And Jerry's like, nope, you were here late. Nope, you can't even set a microwave right. This is it. I'm taking over. Jean-Paul, fuck this. I'm your guy now. And like Kramer comes in or is in the room and he's like, dude, you know what, Jerry? You should take a soak in the hot tub. Like that. It's his whole thing now. Kramer's world is this hot tub. And it literally is his whole apartment, basically, as you see behind Steve.
And Jerry says that human bacteria frat that you got, no, I'm not taking a soak in that. And Kramer, he's gonna take himself a soak, and he's just feeling himself, and eventually the motherfucker passes out. And now we're at the bar with George and those sons of bitches from Houston.
You bastard.
This bastard says, let's get the son of a bitch and let's go to work. George Costanza's gonna take his sons of bitches out on town. That bastard's in for a treat.
And George is loving it. I mean, this is great. I love it. Who doesn't love this? They're having drinks, calling each other bastard. But as we see, George might take some bad habits from this meeting. So we cut to the diner now, and Jerry's trying to talk to Jean-Paul, and he's like, dude, get a wake-up call, dude. There's people whose jobs, get a hotel, get a wake-up call. That's their job. Then you don't even have to worry about it. Elaine, she's not reliable. And Jean-Paul's like, I think it'd be kind of rude. I'm not going to do that.
She's my friend. I trust Elaine. And Kramer, he fell asleep in the tub. So he comes in there, and this motherfucker is wearing like 4 sweaters because he's just constantly cold.
He's hypothermic, basically. He fell asleep in a goddamn hot tub, and there's no heat. It's something fucked up in the hot tub, and like the heat's off. So that's happening. He's in like 30 layers. And then George comes into the diner, just like, hey, you bastards. What are you fucking son of a bitches doing? And, he's all over it. And Jean-Paul, you could tell, he starts saying it, and he loves that word, Steve. He learned a new word today, and he loves bastard.
Yeah, because George tells him that's how they talk in the major leagues. And Kramer, he always a boiling tea. That's because he's so cold. This motherfucker asked for a boiling tea. And this son of a bitch is ice cold. Who said that? Was that George?
I'm sorry, I forget. Also, we're going to have to kind of rewind here because at some point I think it was when Jerry was confronting Elaine at her apartment for being late, they see this neighbor of Elaine's that has like a child. And right. Elaine has to like tells Jerry like on the sly, like, she doesn't have a husband, but don't say anything. And he's like, why would I say anything? So like that happened. We're here now. We're in the diner now. Or we're actually in George's office. And George takes one of the greatest business calls of all time because the Houston guys call from a jet are like, "Hey, you bastard, where do you think we're calling you from, you son of a bitch?"
Put 30,000 miles over your head, you son of a bitch. And there's a breakup, obviously, because the guys are talking to him from a plane, and George, the connection is getting choppy. So he keeps asking him to repeat himself. And he's like, "You tell that son of a bitch, no Yankee is ever coming to Houston. Not as long as you bastards are running things." And his boss, he overhears this. He was like, "Man, enough is enough. This guy."
Well, he thinks it's like a real call, and they're not doing like this isn't a friendly conversation. He's like, "Dude, what do you do? You can't be calling these people sons of bitches like they're actual business people."
And quick cut. And quick cut to Elaine, and she's still showing signs of writer's block. She doesn't know where to start about these Himalayan boots. And now John Paul is at Elaine's in the hallway, and as he's leaving, Angela, the friend of Elaine, she comes out with her baby, and John Paul says, "Oh, look at the cute little bastard. You are mommy's little bastard. Come on, you son of a bitch." And then like the guy, the landlord, I guess, he tried to escort him out. "You can't be harassing my attendants like this. Come on, you son of a bitch. I'm just being friendly."
So John Paul might get his ass whipped. He at least gets escorted out by the super. But then Jerry is at his place and he gets the call. Somehow John Paul knows Jerry's number, calls him for help. So now he's in the mix. And Jerry, then we cut to a hotel and Jerry's getting everything set up. John Paul's getting set up in bed. Jerry's getting the alarm clock set with the time. And he's like, "All right, what kind of music you like?" Trying to find him a station. And John Paul at this point's had it. He's had a bad day. I think he's trying to get to sleep. And he's like, "Just pick something, man."
Yeah. And then Jerry, he makes a call to the lobby and makes sure that they get the wake up call. And he's like, "Man, this is very important." And the guy's kind of sassy with him. He's like, "Look, man, all of the wake up calls are important. What makes you think yours is so special?" And then after that phone call, Jerry doesn't feel as comfortable anymore. It's like, man, I don't know if he's going to call us now. I did like the fact that they were in room 419. Represent.
Hell yeah. Yeah, Jerry fucks that up. And at least he has the wherewithal to be like, "Yeah, I don't think they're going to actually call you tomorrow." So we got to go. So now they cut to Jerry's and he's tucking John Paul in on his couch. This poor guy has to run a marathon the next day. And Kramer comes in. At some point, he's actually gotten like a new like heater for this thing that I guess is gigantic because they mentioned the box. But he comes in while Jean Paul is getting tucked in, and Jerry's like, "Hey Kramer, we got everything set up here, but you got the mental alarm, you got the mental clock, you don't need a clock, so I need you to make a mental alarm to get us up at 6:30 tomorrow morning." And Kramer's like, "Got it."
Yeah, so we think, because he goes back into his hot tub again, and this shit is like high powered now. It's taking up all of the fuse, all of the electricity, all of the power in the apartment, and eventually just takes all the power out, just cuts the fuses down.
The whole damn apartment. This dude bought an industrial like heater for this hot tub, cuts all the power out. So Jerry now wakes up, the sun's hitting him. His clock says like 6 something, I think, and he's or 4 something. He's like 4 something. The hell? And looks at his watch and he's like, "Oh shit, we gotta go, get up." And he gets this whole thing to get John Paul up, to get dressed, to get him to the race now, which they do, Steve. He gets him to the race, like right at the fucking last second.
And we also find out that Elaine gets cussed out. She gets cussed out by her friend because she says that, "Oh, I told you about that baby in confidence, Elaine. I didn't tell anybody. What are you talking about?" "Well, really? Because your friends seem to know a lot about it." Jerry.
Bastards. Yeah, now she thinks Jerry did it, but it was just like a misunderstanding. John Paul just loved the word bastard and son of a bitch. So it's not anyone's fault except George's and those Houston guys, really, if you think about it, Steve.
And I guess her name was Sherry. That was her name.
Yeah. So now Elaine's got a nosy, shitty neighbor that hates her. Not surprising. We're at the Rays. Jean Paul makes it narrowly, and now everyone's situated at the side of the marathon, waiting for Jean Paul to come. So Jerry, Elaine get there. Kramer's there, all cold as shit. Even George. No, is George there?
But he's not there, but we also skipped over something where Elaine, she just got cussed out by Sherry. She thinks Jerry is doing some devious shit with her friend John Paul, and so she just goes out for a midnight stroll, and she's talking to herself. All of these voices are playing off in her head. Oh, Elaine is my friend. I can trust her. I can trust her. Oh, the baby's crying from a distance. He's a bastard, fatherless child. My feet are resilient, but I've taken off my heels and put on my Himalayan walking shoes.
Yeah, she has like an internal monologue that's the perfect sales pitch for these Himalayan shoes, Steve. So job well done to her, turning lemons into lemonade.
George is in his office.
Yeah,
and because we're gonna get to that, he's talking to Steinbrenner, and I guess his boss was telling him what's going on with George. He's like, look, George, I was just like you at one point. Hot wired. I would even threaten to trade the team to the New Jersey just to piss him off, just to see what reaction they get. You know what you need? A hot tub.
Yeah, hell yeah. Which is disgusting, guys. Anybody out there, don't get in a hot tub. Don't get into it. Hotel hot tubs, it's like a fucking egg drop soup. It's disgusting. But it's good enough for it's good enough for everybody else. But we cut back to the race. They're having that discussion. The race is going on. And John Paul rounds like a bend. I guess they're at the end of the race. And
John Paul is crushing it.
He's killing it. He's like way in front. And they're all cheering him on. People have like waters for the racers to throw on their face. But Kramer's got the same cup that everyone else has with some hot soup in it. And he's kind of fumbling around trying to look. And as Jean Paul passes, he's going to win this fucking thing. And he takes Kramer's cup, and we don't see what happens, but we hear what happens because we hear a
Of all people, of all the cups being handed out, you grab the one from the Afghan wrapped guy with the weird haircut.
You didn't notice it was piping hot, John Paul? I mean, come on. Also, but I gotta say, and we hate Kramer here, it happened in the 90s, and the guy hijacked this whole fucking shebang, Steve. He fucked up the power. He fucked up this guy's alarm. Fucked up the guy himself. So clearly, he had it out for Jean Paul somehow, Steve.
Way worse neighbor than Urkel. Way worse. This is his thing. Just about every episode, everybody else gets fucked over by Kramer, and a lot of times, he leaves the thing unscathed.
He didn't even. No one else got to even enjoy that voluptuous hot tub. See? And also, how'd you get that thing out? I want to know that. I want to see that story too. There's so many logistical things that I always ask questions about that you just get to write off as a writer in Hollywood, and I love that. Fuck it.
And speaking of hot tubs, we in this episode with both of the Georges. It's pretty gross.
Yeah, they're in the hot tub, and Steinbrenner just fucking going mile a minute. George just hates his life. He's hanging out with Steinbrenner, Steve. I'll be trying to get some fucking simoleons, but he hates it. And he's just sitting in there hating life as Steinbrenner's just talking nonsense. Just complete gibberish.
Yeah. Like an Ohioan could and should, because we the shit. Did you know he was from Ohio?
Steinbrenner?
Yeah.
That's what's up. I mean, success, Steve. Coming out of age. I love it.
Yeah, he initially was going to buy the Indians. He wanted to, but I don't remember the reason why. And I just couldn't help but think, damn, that could have been our dynasty. All those Reggie Jackson years and the fucking.
You think he would have been as throw money away? I just feel like being in New York changes the way that you do business too. Would
True.
He have been the same owner?
True. Yeah. You have to have a certain personality and play it up and, kind of like a Trump or a Vince McMahon kind of deal. But in 1996, Wayne had debuts on Kids WB. And it's about a young boy named Damie Wayne from a poor background with a club foot. And it was based on Damon Wayne's own childhood in the Chelsea neighborhood in the New York City borough of Manhattan. and one season, 13 episodes.
Now I seeing it, I remember it for sure.
Yeah,
One
something
season.
about yeah, 13. That's the magic number that we're gonna give these animated shows. You know, make it past 13. If people still give a fuck, we'll renew. But you know, it lasted long enough for me to remember. And it's something about these black animated shows that they have to use the Bebe's Kids style because it's the same style as Hammerman, which was horrible.
It really is. I mean, they locked in on that. They're like, we don't want to redesign Bebe's Kids, these guys.
Yeah, that was a thing, man. But in 1998, the new Addams Family debuts on Fox Family, and that would last one season, 65 episodes. I don't know how that was possible, but I really hate the Uncle Fester in this version. I don't know why he looks like a blue push pop. His head is cut off in this picture, but just obvious updated version of an already like proven series or franchise, man.
I mean, after Raul Julia, like those, whoever made, like, you can't, there's no need. And I keep trying to do this, but I agree. I remember this, that guy, all this. It was just not anything after that. And it's Adam's Family stinks.
Oh my goodness, the Gomez behind me looks like a used car salesman. But in 1999, Primus releases Anti-Pop, and you know I think you would have to be a Primus fan to fully appreciate this. You know, it didn't have any like breakout singles or anything, but listening to this album, I feel like if you wanted to describe Primus to someone, I would say Grateful Dead mixed in with some Frank Zappa. It's a lot of that funk meets jazz kind of fusion in a way, but it's also rock. And you know, there aren't too many rock bands that are led by the basses, that where the bass is the driving force. And
Yeah.
you know, Les Claypool is one of one. And you know, I actually enjoyed Anti-Pop, man. But you know, I'm also a Primus fan. I saw them live when they opened up for Tool at the Toyota Center. Amazing performance, man. Like Les Claypool, like his fingers are probably like callous the fuck up, especially his thumb, because he's slapping that. He knows how to do that south like. I'm not doing it justice, but you know what I'm talking
I mean, you're right though. Like he's one of the only famous bassists. He's that good at that instrument,
about.
and
It's
your explanation of them is perfect because I would struggle to put them in any box.
yeah.
It's like such a weird music. But it fucking slaps. It's fucking good. I've never heard this album though. I'm not that big of a Primus fan, but I'm a Primus fan. So
It came out in '99 at a time when, dude, we were focused on Corn, Limp Bizkit, DMX, you know, Snoop and Dre,
I wanted to be
Eminem, and you
mad,
know,
Steve. This isn't mad music. This doesn't get you mad. This doesn't quench that thirst.
we weren't smoking pot quite yet, and I think that adds into it, man, because you know the Mary Jane will allow me to appreciate song titles such as Lacquerhead, Electric Uncle Sam, Mama Didn't Raise No Fool, Dirty Drowning Man, Ballad of Bodacious, The Final Voyage of the Liquid Sky. And that's what I mean by Frank Zappa influence, because Frank Zappa would have these far out, just crazy names for his songs, man. But shout out to Les Claypool. Also in 1999, Pharoah Monch releases Internal Affairs, and this is in the same vein of the Most Def album of a Talib Kweli. Like he was in that collective, and his breakout single from this was Simon Says, "Get the fuck up, don't." Simon Says, "Get the fuck up, put your hands in the high, whoa, 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 whoa." Ladies, pull on your titties. Yeah, I said it. Pull out your titties. I love that part.
I
Or
didn't
rub
realize
on
that
your
was Pharoah
titties.
Monk. Honestly, I know that song, but it's one of those. He's not somebody that's like I immediately hear them and go, "Oh, that's that guy." You know?
Yeah. It's such a deviation from his style because Simon Says that was like radio friendly. I don't know if that was intentional, like I have to make something for the radio and all of that, but you know, everything else is like boom bap, man. And Pharoah Monch is a spitter, like because of the way the music business works, and especially hip hop. It's unfortunate that guys like Pharoah Monch don't get the shine that they deserve, man, because they don't make those jingles that introduces you to a lot of hip hop artists.
Yeah, they don't have like hooks.
They don't have hooks. That's not their focus. Their focus is on bars. And this album, man, it's solid, man. It actually has features from Common, from Talib, from who am I missing? I think Busta Rhymes was in there even.
You know what's also like, maybe I'm wrong about this, but that kind of like hip hop, like all those guys you said, it's not like location based necessarily. Like a lot of the hip hop, it's like, oh, that Southern sound or like that sound, but it's like Talib
Yeah,
Kweli, Common. I don't like. I know Common's from Chicago, but it's not like that. That's like a location based designation almost. Does that make sense?
no, totally. I think it's just a hip hop like like those guys kind of go for the melodic stuff, maybe some R&B singing, and they just do their work on that. Um, but even you said Talib Kweli, like he's from Brooklyn, I believe. Pharoah Munch is from New York, but you also got Common. You also have, I don't know, Killer Mike, who
Yeah.
probably he's a little bit more on the gangster side, but he's definitely hip hop, man. But any callbacks, honorable mentions, or takeaways, good sir?
Just want to call back to last week where I brought up the fact that the Frasier reboot was going to be coming out like right after we recorded that episode. And dude, I gotta say, man, like it's for a reboot, for anything, I usually the word reboot now means dog shit. But this is not that. Frasier, the new one, uh, I love it. I'm a huge fan of the show. They pay homage to the old show. I mean, the intro is the song, the whole jingle, the whole vibe of it. Um, they pay tribute to Martin Crane, the dad, because he obviously died. The actor died, and the whole
Yeah.
show starts after Frasier coming to Boston after his father's funeral, and they pay tribute to it. It was very like that. I don't know, man. It's like one of those shows where you get like emotional watching it because you have such an attachment to the characters. And I
Right.
feel like if you were a fan of the old show, this one kills it. And I've seen 2 episodes, so but going off that and how they introduced the show, I found it like it's just refreshing that somebody did something and it like leave it to Kelsey Grammer to do it to like not fuck up a reboot. Like it's well written, well thought out, and it's like they're basically it is a reboot and they're trying to like they have like some echoes of the old show in this new show where he's sort of being the dad who's installing himself with the son, like living with the son, but now he's the dad and his son is, they're like exchanging roles a little bit. And I'd be interested to see what you think, but I love it, man. So shout out to Kelsey Grammer, dude, killing it.
Any reference to Eddie?
No, not yet, but a lot of they're calling back to a lot of stuff, and I know there's some characters that are going to be coming back. Roz is going to be coming back, and I think if the show can last a little bit, I think maybe some of the other people that were hesitant to be on the show, if there are any, might have just been waiting to see how the writing and everything was going to go, and if it was just like a complete like train wreck. But I don't. If if the quality of the show means anything, I think hopefully the show will get a couple of seasons to sort of build, and I'm into it right now. So I'm into it. I love that. It's a positive review. We don't do that a lot.
Not enough, but we're fair. Do good work, Hollywood, and we'll do that more. But I figure if they can do Roseanne without Roseanne, like give Frasier a shot. Everybody's there. Like just don't say no outlandish Michael Richards shit, Kelsey Grammer, and you're all right. You'll be in the clear.
I mean, the dude's like, I'm surprised. I was like watching it, waiting for like somebody, like just there's so many things that are heavy-handed now that they weren't like that back in the day, and just like I don't know, putting political stuff into it, but it's not that. It's just like they kind of captured the show and they have all this like historical stuff to reference that I think it kind of helps. Like if you are doing a reboot, you do have a lot of stuff to like sort of build off of, and it's cool, man. Good luck to the Frasier crew, but they really, at least if the first 2 episodes are any indication, good reboot. I'm happy about that.
Got a winner.
How about you, man?
Man, I was fighting the fact that we skipped over the Saved by the Bell episode that I really wanted to cover. It's fake IDs, and this is when Kelly gets her comeuppance. You know, she's eating crow. The grass is not as green on that collegiate side because the guys get fake IDs to go into this adult club, and they spot Jeff perusing and just being a sexual deviant with another woman. And the word gets back to Kelly. She's heartbroken, as she should, because you had a whole boyfriend, Kelly. And
I mean,
that
yeah,
ends Jeff.
Eat that crow, Kelly.
Eat that crow. Call, you fucking heifer. I'm sorry, Tat. I love you. I love you, TAT. But I'm just saying, you did Zach wrong. He wanted to go to that dance. He had his dress. He got you to dress.
He won you the damn
couldn't even-
award. You were the queen. You were his. He was your king. And then Jeff with his hair and his college education. That's all it was, Steve. I don't get it, but I'm glad to hear. And I'm sorry we didn't get to cover it, but I don't know. We had to get that Perfect Strangers fix, and I love that.
It was a must. It was about damn time. But please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Please tell your sister that her and her doggy dog can come and suck my doggy dick. Please check out Food Show Fanatics. Crushgasm with Kendra every Wednesday. And don't worry, be movie with Amanda and Wade. This is Steve G and Matt G with Happened in the 90s.
That was perfect.